Okay, 3.4, measures of central tenancy. So we're going to start with a bunch of definitions. So when we talk about measures of central tenancy, this is a single value that attempts to describe a set of data by identifying the central position within that set of data. Okay, in other words, there's going to be three focuses here. There's going to be mean, there's going to be median, and then we're going to cover mode, okay, which is down here. Okay, so when we think of mean, we think of the average. Okay, so another word for mean is average. Okay, and this is when we sum all the values and we divide it by the number of values. Okay, when do we use this? We use this usually as a first means of calculation of data. It's to find like that middle ground or like a rough estimate or general idea, and it's used when the data is large. Okay, an example of this is the average or the mean wait time at maybe the Ministry of Transportation is 3 hours. Okay, median. So median and mode kind of go together because the first step for median mode is that you have to list the numbers in order, like numerical order. So what the median is, it's the actual middle value of the data when they're ranked from highest to lowest, or you know what, lowest to highest is fine as well. Okay, but it's that middle value. But when there's an even set of numbers, say there's 4 numbers, so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so when there's an even set of numbers, what we do is the median will be the average or the mean of the middle 2 numbers. Okay, so I put in equations for us. If it's an odd number of data, what we do, so I'll do this one as an example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, say there's 5 data points. We take the number of data, so there's 5 data here, and we divide it by 2. What we're going to get is some number 0.5. So 5 divided by 2, we're going to get, for example, 2.5. What we want to do with this 2.5 is we want to round up to 3. Okay, and then that, like the third value is going to be our median. And then for an even number of data, we're going to take that data and divide it by 2. So for example, if we had 4 data points and we divided it by 2, we get 2. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the mean between the second and the third values. So the median will be the average value of the corresponding number, so like that number 2, and the next number above it. Okay, so median, when is median used? Median is used instead of mean when outliers could be an issue, okay? Because when you take a look at like a big set of data and you're just looking at these middle values, any number, say it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's 100. Any complete outlier that's either very, very big or a very, very small number is not going to be taken, like it's not going to affect that, our median. Whereas in the mean, we take every single number. It doesn't matter if it's an outlier or not. So the mean is affected by every number. Okay, an example of this, and this is a very common example when you go and you apply for jobs, they'll quote salary and median. So the median is a good representation of a number that all other numbers cluster around, such as salary. Okay, when you go into a field, you want to know what the, like, what pay scale, what pay bracket your pay is going to cluster around, right? You don't want to be like all the way at the bottom. You don't think that you're going to walk into a job and be maybe like get what the CEO is getting, but that cluster is really important. Okay, now the mode is the value that occurs most frequently in a distribution. Okay, some distributions do not have a mode, and then other distributions have several modes. So it's okay to be like no mode, and it's okay to be to list maybe 2 or 3 or even more of that for mode. Okay, when is this used? So this is most commonly used when you want to know the popularity of a specific item. It's usually categorical data. So An example of this in actual real life is an item that's most frequently bought at a store. Okay, and those items have discrete values. And what that means is like you can't go into a store and buy 1.5 cans of paint. That doesn't make sense, okay? You can't buy half a pair of shoes. You can't buy a quarter of a shirt, okay? You're either buying one of them or you're either buying it or you're not, okay? This is so applicable to my life. My feet are huge. My feet are size 10.5, which barely exist. So I can't round down to 10. I have to go up to 11. So in shoe stores, they keep track of like what their most popular size is. Usually it's like size 7, size 8 for females. Okay. Just because you have an average of like say 8.3, you can't sell a size 8.3. That doesn't make sense to use like the mean. So what we do instead is we use the mode. We say, okay, what's the most popular? And then they order them in by popularity, right? So when you go into a shoe store, if you have size 7 or 8 feet, being a female, you go in and you're like, oh, I have like the pick of the draw. Like I can pick any shoe that I want, and they likely have it because they ordered in so many of them. When you have huge feet, like myself, okay, and you wear a size 11, they may have only ordered 1 or 2 of them into the whole store. So once they're gone, they're gone. Okay, so that's when the popularity matters. Okay, and the last one is range. So this is not a measure of central tendency. Measures of central tendency are specifically mean, median, and mode. But range gives the measure of variability of the data. What we do is we take the maximum value, we subtract the minimum value, and we see how many values our data like falls over. Okay, so when is this used? When we want to know over what amount of data something fluctuates, like the high of the high, the low of the low. Okay, and this is used in measuring volatility in the stock market or when spending money on a budget, announcing weather. Okay, so for example, this is super applicable, announcing weather. Okay, tomorrow we're going to have a high of 18, a low of 6. Okay, you want to know the max and the min. Okay, example 1. The ages of players on a baseball team are listed below. So we're going to find the mean, median, mode, and range of the individuals on the team. So first what we want to do is we want to list them from smallest to largest. So I see there's a bunch in the 20s, so I'm going to go 22, 22. The next one up is 27s, just kind of skimming. So 27 and 27. And then we have 28. So we've written out all the ones in the 20s. So now let's do 30. We have 33, 39, and 31. So 31, 33, and 39. And then we have 41, 55. So what we've done so far is list smallest to largest. That's it. But from here, we can find all of these values. So first, let's do the mean. Okay, the mean, we're going to add up all these values. So we're going to go 22 plus 22 plus 27 plus 27 plus 28 plus 31 plus 33 plus 39 plus 41 plus 55. Okay. And we're going to divide it by the number of numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 people on this team. So I get 325. And then we divide by 10. Our mean is 32.5. Okay, number 2, median. What we want to do is we want to locate the middle number. So I gave you guys the formula where we take the number of numbers, so 10 divided by 2, and we get 5. So since this is an even number, what we do is we know that we're going to have to take the average, so average, or the mean, between the 5th and 6th number. So when we look at these in order, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The median is going to be 28 plus 31 divided by 2, which is 29.5. Okay, so number 3, we're going to do the mode. So the mode is, the median, mode, and range are the easiest when these numbers are in order. Because now I can take a look at these numbers and be like, okay, which numbers are duplicated? Well, 22 is written twice, 27 is written twice, and then that's it. So the mode is 22 and 27. We actually have 2 modes. So you just list them with a comma between them. Okay, and the last one is the range. We want to take the max number and we want to subtract the minimum number. Okay, so the biggest number here is 55. The lowest number is 22. So these 10 data, which are the ages of the players, fall over 33 years. Okay, example 2. 2 classes that wrote the same mathematics exam had the following results. So we have class A, and these are the results. And then class B, again, results. Okay, determine the mean, median, mode, and range for each class. So let's start with class A. And let's start class A by listing all of these values here. Okay, so if we were to count the values, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we get 17 values. So let's list those in order. Okay, so when I skim, I get 55 is a low mark, and so is 45. So I get 45, 55. And let's see if there's anything in this. Oh, I get 51 as well. So let's write 51 and then 55. I think that's all for the 50s. And then 60s are going to be, we have 66, 64, and 68. So 64, 66, 68 in order. We get 70, 71, 71, 71. And then we get 73, 76. Okay, and then for the 80s, we get 82, 83, and 84. And for the 90s, we get 90 and 95. And what I do is I always just count the number of data that I wrote out so that I ensure that I included every single point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, there's 17. And I just kind of labeled the numbers in the middle. Okay, so now let's actually determine the mean. So the mean. What we're going to do is we're going to add up all of these numbers. I'm not going to rewrite that. I'm just going to go ahead and add them in my calculator. Okay, so I get 1215 when I add these all up. And then we're going to divide by the number of numbers. So we already counted originally, and there were 17 numbers. So when we go ahead and divide that, we get 71 point, I'm going to round, 71.5. Okay, now the median. We have 17 numbers, so if we divide by 2, what do we get? Okay, so 17 divided by 2, we get 8.5. So from our note, we're going to round up, so we're going to take the 9th number. Okay, so if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 9th number, the middle number is 71. Okay, the mode. When I take a look at these numbers and I skim them, which ones are repeated? Well, the only ones that are repeated is the 71. So the mode is also 71. Okay, and the range is going to be 95 minus 45. Okay, so the range of this data is 50. So there's 50 marks between the lowest grade and the highest grade there. Okay, now let's do class 2 or class B. Okay, let's order these. So the lowest marks are 12 and 15. Anything else lower than 50%, 44, and then I get 50 and 54. So 44, 50, 54. I'm still skimming. I think that's good. 61, 61, 63, and 69. 61, 61, 63, 69. Then in the 70s, I get 73, 74, 75. And then I get 80, 80, 81. And then I get 91, 92. And I'm going to recount these just to make sure there's 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. By the way, I remember the ninth one was the middle number. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Nope, we're good. So again, for the mean, I'm not going to rewrite this, but I'm going to add these all up and divide it by 17. All right, 1075. And then divide by 17. We get the average of 63.2. So this average is much lower, right, if we were to compare. And then we have median. Well, we know 17 divided by 2 is going to be the 8.5. So it's going to be the ninth number. So when we look at our ninth value here, we get 69. Okay, so our average is quite low, like lower than the class A, but our median's almost the same. There's such a discrepancy here because remember how the mean takes into account outliers? Well, these two marks here, 12 and 15, are massive outliers. They're going to really pull that average down. Okay, now mode. If I look through here, does anything duplicate? Yep, 61 duplicates and 80 duplicates. So that's fine. We're just going to go 61, 80. We have two modes. Okay, and the range, 92 minus 12, which is 80. So there's 80% between the lowest mark in that class and the highest mark in that class. Whereas the range in class A here, the difference between the lowest mark and the highest mark was only 50%. So this range is obviously bigger because of those outliers. Right? They're pulling that so much down. They're making that discrepancy between the biggest and the highest numbers very great. Example 3. Mia is buying a home. She needs a mortgage and the bank wants to know her monthly salary. She works on commission, so she must calculate her average salary. So given her income for the last 6 months, calculate Mia's mean, median, mode, and range of salaries. Put all these in here, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to actually interpret this. We're actually going to comment on the measure that you believe is the most useful in this situation. So let's list these first. Okay, so the smallest number, and I have to look at the first two numbers. We have 36, we have 42, 32, 29, 36, and 46. So I'm going to look at the first two numbers. If they're identical, I obviously keep going. But all of these are 4-digit numbers, right? So we want to look at the first number. So I'm going to say 2985 for the first number. And then we have two 36s. So 3675 and 3650. So 3650 is smaller. Okay, so that was that one and that one. Oh, I forgot 3225. Okay, I'm going to delete this just because there's a couple. 3225, 3650, 3675. Then we have 4250. And then we have 4600. Okay, So there are 6 months here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're good. Okay, so the mean, we're going to add these up. So 29.85, 32.25, 36.50, 36.75, 42.50, 4,600. Okay, so I get $22,385. So when we divide that by 6, we get an average of 3,730. Let's just round to the whole number, $31 a month that she would get paid. Okay, and the median, we would do 6 divided by 2, so we get 3. So we're going to take the third and the fourth numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take these two because they're both the middle number, and we are going to add them both up, so 36.50 and 36.75, and divide them by 2. So I get 73.25 if you want to see that work. So I get a median of 3,662.50. Okay, the mode, none of these numbers repeat, so I'm going to go with none. And what are the range of her salaries? Well, they range the highest from 4,600 to the lowest at 29.85. And when we subtract those, they range over $1,615. So in regards to the comments, I think that you could use the median because it's a good representation for the bank. Good representation for the bank to know kind of like your middle ground. Middle of your, what is it called? Of your salary. So really big numbers are not going to interfere, and really small numbers. So like say for example, she went on vacation for 3 weeks. Well, that month she's not going to get paid a lot, right? So that's not going to be a good representation of her monthly salary. So it takes out the outliers, okay? Takes out, it doesn't like, or I should say it's not affected. Let's go like that, not affected by outliers, right? And then the other thing is like around Christmas, houses don't sell so much, and then they sell more in the summer. So that really, really, really popular time of year and a really not popular time of year, not affected. And it's like that middle ground.